G'day listeners and race fans, and welcome to another episode of the Round Bar Supercars podcast, the podcast by the punters on the hill for the punters on the hill. I'm Bails and I've got Matty and Marshy on the line. We'll say g'day to them shortly. You're listening in on Apple Podcasts, Spotify or Podbean, and potentially even watching in on YouTube. Gentlemen, all the links are in the show notes, but a big g'day to you, Matty. How you going, mate?
I'm fantastic.
Excellent, and welcome, Marshy, once again.
G'day boys, good to be back.
Absolutely love a recap pod. It means we only chatted a couple of days ago in the lead up. A big thank you to our supporters for helping us put together the content for you. We've got Biti Motors Culcairn, Membrey's Auto Electrics in Kundruk, and Cobrapparel. All the links to our wonderful supporters and also to the various places you can find our content in the show notes as per usual. Righto, fellas, a few news cycle headlines. I promise I don't have as many as I did last time, and that's because there wasn't 4 weeks worth to kind of jam into a 4 to 25 minute segment. And some comment really largely across the weekend. Thought the Indigenous liveries looked pretty good across the board in the efforts that were made, but happy for you to comment on that in a little bit. I guess probably the biggest news in that space was Matty Payne committing publicly to Grove / Penrite for 2027. A broad note around Cam Waters just getting the business done across that weekend. I know he'll get a mention across all of the races, I am sure, especially with our Mr. Monster supporter there, Matty. So he'll be cheering. I guess the Darwin event organisers / Supercars, NT government announcing plans for a Friday night race next year and a Saturday twilight race as well before reverting to the regular day format on the Sunday. Gents, anything you want to pick over in that or maybe some other bits and pieces that came to your attention across the weekend or in the lead up since we recorded the week before?
I think it's going to be cool to be it's actually going to be cool to be able to have the night and twilight racing. I think that's really good. Obviously, it'll bring the temperatures down a little bit, which the drivers will like as well. Was there talk about that was meant to happen a couple of years ago too, but it just sort of fell in a bit of a hole, which is...
Yeah, effectively, it did get up and was talked about, I guess, or pushed from the government and / organisers end, and in the end fell flat, I guess, as you say, when a lot of the business houses and the hospitality crew kind of put forward the realistic point of view that, well, when everyone leaves the track, where do they go? We've brought all these people up to Darwin. We want them to fill our pubs, clubs, hotels, restaurants, etc. So that is a drawback from it. So it will be interesting now that it's been announced whether it actually makes it to the calendar in 2026. But fair point or recollection there, Marshy?
I think, though, like that sort of thing, if they're running at 6:30, 7 o'clock at night, you're going out at 8 o'clock anyway, so it's only going to be a sprint race, so it's not going to be too long. You'll be out of the precinct. It's only 10 minutes into town, and you'll be at your fine establishments or at the ski club, I reckon.
Might be worth a venture up for the round bar crew. What do you reckon?
We're going to have to probably run it past 3 other people before we even say yes. And I'm not talking 3 mates either.
A little winter...
The better halves, yeah.
A little winter escape to Darwin for some supercar action.
Yeah.
Anything else, Marshy, across the weekend?
You touched on the liveries. I think they all looked really good. Everyone obviously does a really good job. I know it gets a bit of backlash and things like that with PC sort of crowd and things like that, but I actually think it's great to see the cars in a different aspect. Artists, young kids, various elders, things like that. And just to see how the liveries are actually designed for a car, which I think is really good. They all had a story. My favourites, I think, I reckon BRT smashed it. I like the different colours, like the bright green and yellow and the blue and the red. So I thought they were really cool. But yeah, other than that, I think it's good. It's good to stay out there, see the culture and stuff like that too. So they really embrace it, which is fantastic.
Yep, absolutely. Couldn't agree more, Marshy. Matty, over to you.
Yeah, I thought it was fantastic that I suppose following on the liveries piece, that Red Bull, they designed theirs with a group of 20 or 30 young kids from around the Northern Territory, and it was it was great to see them. They took them down to the track and they were kind of meeting all the mechanics and the whole team. So I thought that was a really great kind of touch as well, not just kind of adding delivery, but really giving the kids experience. I think it was Reynolds' car. I thought it looked the best on the track. It was quite distinctive.
Yeah, totally.
So that was really cool. And then other news, that's probably it for me. I thought overarching news for Darwin was it actually felt pretty good. I thought the new race format went well. I know we'll touch on that a little bit later as well. But the longer race on Sunday, I really enjoyed. And my only other theme for the weekend was I thought the strategy, maybe we call it the strategy battleground. It was really interesting to follow because you could do well and you could really stuff it up.
Which is great for us, watching on the hill.
Yeah. So that's, I suppose they're my main news stories. Same as you, Bales. I thought it was nice to see Matty Payne came out and kind of cleared the air. I suspect we'll hear more about that later. The only other real bit of news that I think we'll touch on through the discussion is driver welfare and how that played out across the weekend. But I won't delve too much into that right now. But something that we should definitely pop up a bit later.
Absolutely, mark that one down. Do not forget Matty. And at this part of the pod, it's a chance to hook on into our Biti Motors big moments across the weekend. Brought to you by Biti Motors Culcairn, and just something that stood out to us as a big moment across the weekend and something we sort of want to acknowledge here on the pod. So, Marshy, I think you called in nice and early and said you wanted to go last for this one. So, I'll throw it over to Matty. Straight back to you, pal. What have you got for your Biti Motors big moment this weekend?
Oh, big moment. So I thought race one was probably my moment for the weekend, and that final lap real kind of jostle to get Waters the win. For me, that was probably the most exciting part. I thought we were almost going to get the same thing in race 19, and then it just ended, so I was a bit disappointed. But that was, I think, for Waters to hold out and get the win was the big moment for me on the weekend.
Beautiful. Nice one, Matty. So I'll roll on in, since Marshy wants to go last. Mine, and it ties in with the driver welfare piece, and we'll broadly leave that topic for later on. But just the fact that Kostecki and Randall were ruled out in the end, or withdrawn from race 19. For the most part, that's probably not going to hurt Kostecki in the long run. But I do wonder whether we'll look back, towards the end of the season and see where Randall's dropped a bunch of points by not even participating in that race. And I'm all for him not being in the race, but I think the fact that he's dropped that bundle of points and, is going to hurt him in the hunt for finals. Clearly, driver welfare is first and foremost in the prominent position for that, but it may come back to bite him in the backside. All right, Marshy?
I'm going to say my big moment is, can the Toyotas run in the heat?
Yeah.
Oh.
So we had, obviously Woody got his engine changed on Saturday. He didn't finish race 18.
He dropped the power steering and the water situation.
And they just went, we might as well just change it in case something happens.
Yep.
And then Chazzy, bang, gone. With 4 laps to go. So, I know they were worried about how is the Toyota going to cope. Obviously, nothing really happened at BJR in that sort of instance, but 2 cars are obviously who are competing, obviously into that top 10. Probably big implications there as well. Like, can they run in the heat? We got Townsville up next. It's not going to be cold. It's going to be still pretty warm. So, but that's that's my big moment is Toyotas in the heat.
Beautiful. Thanks, Marshy, and a big thanks to our friends at Biti Motors Culcairn for supporting our big moments segment. time to roll on into our Darwin Triple Crown review more broadly. Just a couple of overall notes. We had a little bit of inclement weather early on in the piece, which is practically the first time ever since the supercars have been going up there for that. Brodie was just a bit crook across the whole weekend, and ultimately, a mixture of the heat and his sickness probably saw him withdraw from race 19, which we'll cover off. The heat rulings, did it stop what we wanted it to do? And that's kind of was preempted early on in the show as well. Triple Eight, no podiums across the weekend. That was kind of my backup Biti Motors Culcairn big moment. Like, that's huge. They went from sweeping the races there last year to not doing a lot. Brown showed a little bit of speed at times, but really overall there was a struggle there for Triple Eight. And just a side note of sorts, when Ojeda gets his start sorted, watch out. Like, he's got so much of the rest of it already sorted. So keep your eyes peeled on that, fellas. Okay, race 17. We had Waters for the win. We had Allen and Payne coming in second and third. Brodie had the pole. Waters looked solid, across the race, and Tickford made that great strategy or rolled the dice potentially on the strategy with running Waters that little bit longer. That decision was made a whole lot easier because of those in front of him pitting, with ADP and Kostecki sort of getting out of the way effectively. He later on, when things sort of washed through, 100k race, Kostecki didn't really put up too much of a fight when it came back to sort of Waters passing him or the two Penrite cars coming up in particular, later in the race. Just to top off sort of Feeney's struggling throughout the race, they had a sluggish pit stop by Triple Eight standards. They did go for the 4 tyres to try and catch up a few things, and Feeney locked a tyre heading into turn 1 and ran wide, and that kind of was the beginning of the end of that weekend. We had the late safety car for Davey Reynolds going off after J.L. Beast made a bit of a move on him there at the hairpin. It took him a little while to get started, so they threw the safety car. Ultimately, he got started in the end. And that sort of brought to us that finish that Matty was talking about earlier on. And that gave us in our top 10, 5 Fords, 2 Chevs and 3 Toyotas, giving us 5 Fords filled the top 5 spots. So I guess what were your takeaways and other bits and pieces from race 17, Marshy?
I just like the battling. I think it was some nice, close, fast racing. There were battles right up the front. There were battles within the mid-pack and at the back. Like, the rookies were battling as well. I think everyone was pushing hard and fast because they wanted to get that good start for the weekend. That late safety car also, then that little dash to the end. Was Allen going to get Waters, or was something going to happen? You're right in the sense that Kostecki sort of just let Cam go at that point as well. Oh, sorry, not at that point, but earlier on in the race. I just think he sort of went, you know what, I don't have the pace. I need points. I've lost a bucket load. There's no point fighting. I just need to bank some and get them going. Or whether or not he knew I'm not going to last the whole weekend either. But, that's my takeaway. The battles were really good at the front for that race at least as well.
I think watching across the weekend, and it probably came up thematically a little bit from Tassie, but for whatever reason, I'm really getting around the racing that we're being given on our permanent circuits at the moment. Mm-hmm. I mean, we might get to the next couple and it turns to custard, but and obviously Townsville's next, so it's a bit of a mix of what's going on. But I'm just like, I'm really appreciating the racing that we're getting from our permanent circuits, which is an important element of the championship. Lots of people will only get to see, I guess, the larger races, the free-to-wear piece. But anyway, I digress a little bit. Matty, race 17.
I think you guys covered most of it, to be honest. I liked watching this race. I thought it was the more entertaining race of the weekend because it felt like everyone was just having a crack. It hasn't popped up yet in this chat, but it did pop up in our discussions over the weekend in the texts, the green parts of the track.
I was saving that for something else, but yeah, I can go with it.
Yeah.
Yep. Do you want me to go there?
Oh, we can go there a little bit. You can still use it later, but bloody hell, it's like a get out of jail free card, I feel. And I don't know. So we can talk about it later, but it felt like the first race, everyone was trying to keep to the racing line and it was okay. Then the second race, they all kind of got used to it. Then the third race, it was like, oh, sweet, we've got this sorted now. And I think it took away from the real, I suppose, racing line, because you can throw it out a bit wider, you can get away with things, and for me, it just kind of spoiled a bit of the racing. And it really kind of exacerbated itself on Sunday. So that's just one thing that popped up, and I thought it looked a bit weird on Friday, and it didn't get any better through the weekend. And then just reinforcing it, because I had to eat my own words a little bit, because I gave Cam Waters a bit of a jab in the pre-podcast that he doesn't like winning, and then he came out and won. So bloody good on him, and I was real happy for that to happen.
He's your man.
So yeah, and look, I thought he put together a really nice weekend, but that race in particular, he just nailed it. And I think that was a pretty momentous occasion as well, because Ford hadn't won in Darwin, I think, since I've been watching it, essentially.
Yes, for a while.
A long time. So that was a big kind of fork in the road for him. So that's all for me for race 17, and a few other things as well.
It was huge. You're so right there, Matty. Righto, if you're going with the green concrete, let me have it. I was going to save it for my spark it and park it for the next pod, but I would have been so cranky by the time we got to that next one when we get to Townsville, so might as well offload it now. People that have been long-term listeners to the pod or long enough will know that I've mentioned the green concrete that they use to run off on the back of curbing in different parts around Australia and New Zealand to an extent too, and sometimes it's not painted, not always green. I guess what happens, cars run wide, they go over the back of the curbing, they dig it up, dirt on the track, hole behind the curb, etc, etc. I kind of get why it's there, to, I guess, stop the dirt coming onto the track, stop the cars bottoming out on the curbing because of the hole that gets dug on the other side. But if you stay on the track, there's no problem. So what effectively we've done, and you couldn't get any bigger example of it than at Darwin. Like, I've seen it pretty bad in some places, but the exit to turn one, in particular, not the only one, nearly all of them have it. It then just absolutely widens the track. It changes the racing line, as Matty pointed out. And all that ended up happening, especially the last turn as well, turn 14 I think it is, has it quite pronounced, is that by the time they push the limits and go that bit further and find out how far they can go, they end up digging the hole anyway on the other side of the green concrete.
And they still bring
the dirt on.
Was it concrete? I thought it was grass because they painted it green. Bloody hell! It's outrageous.
I do have a bit of a caveat to it, because it annoys me no end, because it just changes all the things that we don't want it to change, right? And we've just been over some of those. The caveat I've got is that when you look at it through the eyes of the weekend we've just had, we're looking at international standard competition effectively, and we go, well, you guys should be good enough. The other side of the same coin, which I can acknowledge, especially at somewhere like Darwin, but other places too that are permanent tracks, is that they are used by people that are from everywhere from weekend warriors to once or twice a year types. And so then as a circuit, they're going to make mistakes. And so you've kind of got to build that in a little bit. I'm definitely not using that as a get-out-of-jail-free card for the supercars and how that happens in that space, but it does my lid in no end. Anyway, there you go.
It's like bloody bumpers, 10-pin bowling. That's what... If you're going to a racetrack, are you going there to get a little bit extra and kind of use the extended curve, or are you going to drive the bloody track? They should be driving the track. Like, I just... It astounds me that it's popping up more and more and more. And it's almost like the the NRL and the AFL at the moment, where they just keep bringing in more rules to make the game faster. And so it's almost like that. They're like, oh, why don't we just give them a little bit extra on that curve, then they can go faster there, then they get faster to the next one. I don't think it added anything to the entertainment value for viewing. That was my biggest takeaway from that, because all I started doing was watching them go over that every single time. And I was
you can't unsee it.
No. So you're just watching this green bit and you're like, oh, he's over the back again. Oh, it's just... So anyway, I think we're all in furious agreement that something's got to change there, and it just reduces the spectacle of the sport.
Do you think though, Bales, like you had the caveat of, it gets used by everybody, like a variety of race goers or race
Let's
drivers.
say club races.
Clubs, classes, etc. Do you think, like for supercars, it's there, but there's track limits. You go over that, then like you got to stay on the track. So then obviously that's over your track limit. I'm always
on the side of less rules, right? So if you have that, you then have to police it. There's then how many times do you get a chance? It's like curb strikes on the Gold Coast. I don't know. Is it temporary concrete and you can pull the things out like the big slabs? Okay, that's getting a bit out there. But what it probably does even more is having it, and then it takes the jeopardy out of it. If people are going over it, the hole gets dug, the junk gets brought onto the track, that can cause a drama. Mm-hmm. If you keep going over it once the hole gets deeper, you might do some undercarriage damage to your car. That brings in more jeopardy. Like, it self-polices.
If you want to roll the dice, then yeah.
If it's a gnarly big hole, you won't drive in it.
No, you won't.
Just a thinking. Righto. We've only done one race. So let's go.
But we've covered the concrete.
We did a lot just then. All right.
We did a lot for everyone. Race 18, first race on Saturday, our first of our longer 200-kilometre races. Kai Allen for the win, Waters in second, Kostecki in third. Waters was on pole for this one. Waters, the race leader, pitted about lap 25. Brown followed suit. He'd done some reasonable qualifying. Payne and Waters had a pretty good battle, so to speak, although Waters did get a little penalty for, not penalty, a bad sportsmanship flag for his re-entry once he had rejoined the track. And a couple of camera angles looked okay, and another couple of camera angles looked pretty nasty. So he probably got away with the one there. Bates got a 15-second penalty for running Fraser wide down in the hairpin. He'd kind of already been having his own accident of sorts or misadventure just before that, so he was kind of recovering. Bates and Reynolds almost took each other out a little bit later on as well. Brodie got into the back of Payne slightly down in at turn 6 and sort of continued to give him a working over for a while, which was interesting to see. Payne wasn't impressed. He probably got on the radio and had a bit of a carry-on almost there for a bit. And meanwhile, while they were mucking around, Allen was clearing out, and they'd made some great both fuel saving and strategy calling to get him to the front and keep him there as well. Allen got Waters and was past him, and Kostecki got past Payne not long later. And in the end, Erebus had multiple penalties for what was a pretty average Saturday for them. For pit lane issues, baking tyres in the sun, inadvertently, and also Cooper Murray had a dodgy pass on Ryland Gray later on that copped him another heap of seconds. So that rounded out our race 18 with 6 Fords, 3 Chevs and 1 Toyota in the top 10. Alrighty, what did you take away, Matty?
To be honest, not much from that race. I thought it was a bit comical that they were like, oh, were they left in the sun, were they? Oh, look at that, they're warming up. Look at those tyres. They're ready to go. I think, look, that's probably all for me. I think you covered most of my points that I had written down from watching the race. So, yeah, it was good. I always like seeing Kai Allen do well. He's had the kind of the rough end of the stick quite a bit, so it's good to see him when he brings it all together. And the other bit was just strategy. There was a whole heap of strategy that played out here, good and bad. for drivers that were trying to undercut and kind of get fresh tyres and everything like that. So I thought that was nice to watch.
Just a couple of things on your Penwright / Alan, comments around, like, they're killing it on strategy and have been for a while now. And I know we've made a few comments on that. But how amazing for Alan's new engineer. He's rocked in from Ferrari, landed in Australia. There's language barrier. There's the whole thing. And they look like they're getting on like a house on fire and gelling really well. 2 wins in the last couple of months, which is just, sort of phenomenal. I want to put, I guess, a hypothetical or a wondering to both of you. Are we getting a little bit of George Russell and Kimi Antonelli happening with Matty Payne and Kai Allen?
Oh, jeepers. Wow. No, I don't think... I don't think Matthew Payne has thrown the toys out of the cot and everything yet.
I don't think he's done that. But
what do you think? What are you saying? Like the young bulls starting to really show up? No, I don't think so. I think Matty's still holds his own, obviously. Kai had a brand new race car on the weekend too, and they shook it down previously, and he's obviously come back with a new car and raced really well, and it's improved for him. But yeah, I don't. Oh, geez, that's a big one.
I just love throwing a hypothetical at you sometimes, guys.
Who's Kimi? we obviously know.
Alan.
Alan.
Jeez.
And DJR must be absolutely kicking themselves.
Yep. They let that one go through, didn't they?
Yeah.
Yep. Yes. But
alrighty,
that's what you got to do.
Just my hypothetical. Marshy, what do you have for race 18?
No, I'm just going to go with Kai. I thought he raced really, really well, matured. Yeah. I know that Cam had asked after the race as well, where was he fuel saving? Because he did it really, really well as well.
Yeah.
But I think, just Kai Allen just absolutely blitzed that race, and I think that's pretty well it for him. So good on the young fella.
Two different kind of wins. One he had in New Zealand where he had Kostecki inside his car basically, and then this time he was driving away from the field. Like, really impressive stuff. Roll on into our Sunday overnight. I suppose probably actually before we get into that, it's probably a good point to maybe hook into the welfare element that came up earlier, because post that race, Kostecki wasn't able to be interviewed or attend the podium or anything like that. He sort of slumped outside his car and was attended to by the team physio and the crew. Obviously, he'd been sick on the way into the weekend, as we found out, but also, I guess, suffered in the heat of Saturday afternoon. Thomas Randall is probably more of a conversation piece with the cool suit issue that was basically from the moment he drove out of pit lane. It just wasn't working. And he looked visibly cooked post that race Saturday afternoon. Kostecki went to medical. He ended up on a drip to get him sorted out. Randall didn't, but he, obviously went through various treatments to retain fluids and to cool himself down. In the lead up, we had, or even before the lead up to Darwin, we had Supercars respond to the driver cooling failures, really, from Triple Eight, around what was that going to look like and how tightening up, I guess, some not loopholes, but some of the wording around how I guess tightening the whole situation up around, did you have to have one of the elements working? Did you have to have both? How does that look? Is there a certain temperature range? And they brought that in. It was to be 32.9 degrees would enforce the ruling. It got to 32 on Saturday, yet we still had drivers in that situation. So I'm wondering, is the number relevant, or is it just it's hot? I'm not sure. Matty, you were keen, chomping at the bit early on in the pod to have a yarn about it. Where are you sitting?
It felt like there was a bit of, I don't know, smoke and mirrors going on. That's just how it felt, and I don't know. I don't think we'll ever know the full story behind it, but I think we have to. Or Supercars have to really empower the teams to make that call and not then nail them as a result. of what they decide on. So I think my take from all of that was there was probably a bit of silly buggers being played out with what worked, what didn't work, and kind of sickness leading into it, and how that all kind of gelled into the final decision of, okay, well, we're going to sit Kostecki out because he was sick and then he was kind of dehydrated and he's not in the right spot to do the big race. I think it's going to be interesting leading into something like Bathurst. If you get a couple of warm, you can get warm days at Bathurst. Sometimes you can get really cold days at Bathurst as well. And normally you get all those in one day. But I think that'll be a real test for it, just to see if there are cool suits that aren't working and if drivers aren't kind of feeling that well. You've obviously got the co-driver to take over, but I think that'll be a really interesting kind of crunch point for all of those rules, because everyone wants to win Bathurst and they want to be kind of showing up and doing their best. But look, in general, as a punter on the hill, I thought they made the right choice on the weekend, and I think they had drivers in the cars that were as fit and healthy as they needed to be to do what needed to be done. So I can't throw too many stones at how it was handled, other than I thought there might have been maybe some missed messaging in how it was all done.
Marshy, you got anything on that?
I did find it quite funny that Larko had done a full piece on it, like out actually on the grid, in regards to how the cool suits work and how the helmet air works. And some people run an ice box, some people run dry ice, some people run this, that, whatever. And then the next minute we have one cool suit failure, and then we also have Kostecki had no water to drink, basically, so he was dry the whole time. I just found that was quite interesting. And then we have two drivers who have to pull out and are absolutely cooked. I actually don't think it needs to be a number. Everybody runs a different temperature. Like, I hate the heat because I get really hot. Some people get really cold. I just think everybody's a little bit different. And if something's failing, then it's black flagged. I think that's just the simplest option out there. If you've got a piece of thing that's flapping off the side of the car that could fly off and hit another car, isn't that a danger to everybody? Aren't you a danger also in the car that if you just pass out because you're just absolutely cooked and wrecked? I think that's more of a danger than a piece of thing that's just flapping on the side that needs to get a bit of tape. So I feel as though something needs to happen. If it's not working, you come in and get it fixed. Done.
That rule exists.
Yeah, I know it exists, but it's got now a number to it. It shouldn't have a number at all.
So this comes back to almost the double wave yellow flag situation. We're adding more layers to a rule that just needs to be enforced.
Yeah.
But if you go down to the team and go, is the cool suit working? And they go, oh, yeah.
Yeah, but then your driver is absolutely physically cooked and cannot get out of the car.
Yeah.
And then goes, my cool suit wasn't working. It's like, bang, done. They're your points. They're gone. If you made it hard and fast, I think you actually have to put the driver's safety first, and the other drivers as well.
And
I agree. If they just did it, and someone got slapped all their race points or their weekend points, that straight away everyone would be like, "Oh, geez, we can't get away with that anymore." Yeah.
Well, a technical breach is a DSQ.
Yeah.
For certain codes of the the rules. So that's a part failure.
Yeah. Well, we even saw it on Sunday. Was it Reynolds he'd finished the qualifying, and he was still in the next phase of qualifying, got out because his cool suit wasn't working, got changed into a brand new one, and then back in the car because they went, it's not working, but we want to make sure that you're comfortable in the car.
Yeah.
And I think that the commentary was saying that it didn't matter, he would have been able to survive that, but not go out and do a full race without that suit. But he came out, got it changed, and they fixed the problem. Off he went. So that took 2 minutes. You've now got drivers who can't race. Sorry, I know Kostecki's is probably a little bit different because he was sick and crook as well. Randall's, to me, is if they had came in, sorted it out, yes, he might drop a bunch of positions, but then he can still rate. He still gets points if he finishes 24th. Yeah. And finishes the race. Whereas now he got no points for Sunday because he didn't race at all.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I think they've really got to look into that and, driver safety and how it works and come and get it fixed.
Tricky stuff. I don't think it'll be the last we hear of it. We've got a couple of warm ones left to go. Race 19 on Sunday. So Kostecki out, Randall out. We've covered on that. Hazelwood came in. He'd been racing Trans Am all weekend, so he was good to go. Winterbottom had been holding a microphone all weekend. Not quite as prepared, but he was ready to go as well. ADP for the win. Payne, Waters. I guess my notes, Waters on pole. So, I'm just a really knockout weekend, and probably something that Tickford needed more broadly was that weekend. Obviously, there was a bit of drama with the Randall situation, but definitely for the Waters side of things, the blown engine for Chaz, that valve train issue that keeps coming up for those Toyotas, we've kind of covered off on that already. I think it's probably a little bit scary for Ryland Gray that he couldn't beat Todd. Now, Todd's an excellent peddler, no questions about that, but also hasn't been in the Gen 3 supercar in anger all season for all intents and purposes. And I just thought Frosty did a good job for the most part. Tickford just let him go about his business and have a bit of a run and get some laps under his belt. The late safety car flattened the end of the race, I suppose, but that's the way the cookie crumbles at this point in the way our regs and our races are set up. For our top 10, we had 5 Fords, 3 Chevs and 2 Toyotas. I guess broadly, I mean, when you look at the numbers, it's not that big of a difference between the Toyotas and the Chevs, but I just didn't think the Toyotas were in it across the weekend like I've kind of felt like they have been. That probably goes back to your heat wondering back in the big moments, Marshy. But Matty, any takeaways from race 19 on Sunday?
No, I thought if we had got back for that last lap, it probably would have brought a bit more excitement into the race.
Yeah.
It was pretty benign, I thought. And even it felt like cars had kind of started to work out the strategy. Like all the teams had the strategy down pat. It was just a few differences where people pushed and they made a little bit extra on the kind of that undertaking strategy. But I don't know, it felt a bit boring towards the end. And then, obviously, Mostert blew up, and I thought, oh, here we go. We're going to get a real shootout for the last couple of laps. And then the laps were done. So I felt like we might have missed a bit of a trick with that last race. Not a lot happened, but I guess we can't be too concerned that not a lot happened because it means that everyone's probably driving better. So, yeah.
And that's going to happen sometimes.
Yeah.
Not all games of footy are good to watch. You can get a dud race every now and again.
Yeah.
That said, and probably something I didn't to go through over the top, really chuffed for ADP and Team 18. We've been giving them a bit of curry. Marky Scaife's been giving them a fair bit of hurry up on, Motorsport 360, which we've covered off before. So I think they were pretty happy to get that one out of the way. Marshy, your takeaways from race 19? Matty.
I do have another one.
He's excited. He's up.
Yeah. Our friend Jamie Wincup at the end of the race, he was being interviewed, and our other friend Mr. Feeney was not happy at the shenanigans at the end of the race because essentially they let Brown overtake him. Yeah. And then the race finished, and he was like, "Well, bugger that!" He didn't even get a chance to actually have a crack at first in front. And then they interviewed Jamie right after the race. He's like, "Well, I've got 2 creaky drivers over heads, and I'm trying to sort this out. I can't do this." I thought it was actually just pretty funny to see how he handled that interaction. But it was also interesting to see that they let Brown kind of get in front of Feeney, and then Feeney was a bit cranky because he didn't get the points. And yeah, so anyway, bit of fun and games in that Red Bull shed. I'm sure there was some debrief words to go around.
I think they swapped in trying to see if they could catch up, but then that safety car came out and he didn't get that opportunity to readdress the position. So anyway, that's just how you want to run the game and run the gauntlet. That's what can happen. I like the little drive-by at the end of it where... what's the team motor for Team 18? I can't remember his name.
Charlie Schwerkold.
Yeah, how he just goes, geez, I wish Scapey was here. I just like that. It was just like, you know what, mate? You gave me curry. Here we are on the podium. Yet we're still winning. He's won 2 races, ADP, and when he is out in front, he is fast.
Yep.
He has speed. Even in his most top 10 shootouts he's in. He's probably missed 1 or 2 of the qualifying. everyone has a bad day, but he has been, I feel as though he's been on the ball for most of the year as well for ADP.
Yeah.
And to get 2 wins as well in a team that's not meant to be doing very well, according to Mark Scape. They're not the best Chev team or whatever he said. I think ADP really, drove really well. I did like, you could tell that Feeney was frustrated within that race as well, giving Waters that little bump and then having to readdress. He wasn't happy in that one. Matty Payne wasn't happy in that one either.
Yeah.
He was upset. We heard Jackie Bell just really calming him down and just putting the settlers on him. It's okay, mate. Just settle down. We'll keep pushing. Just keep driving. There was a few boys who were getting a little bit hot, not just in the race car, but a bit hot-headed as well. So, and just the things weren't going their way. I thought well done to ADP, well done to Cam, and well done to Kai in getting that again. Sorry, it was Matty Payne, wasn't it? Sorry, for third.
Yep.
Yeah, not Alan. Wrong one. Sorry, pen right car. But yeah, that was my take. I thought it was good.
Absolutely. Beautiful, Marshy. That gives Kostecki 5 wins for the season, Feeney 4, ADP 2, Allen 2, Payne, Wood, Mostert, Andre Heimgartner, and Waters 1 apiece. So, our Drivers' Championships. Our top 10, Feeney, Payne, Waters, Kostecki, Allen, De Pasquale, Brown, Wood, Golding, and Mostert, with JLB, Heimgartner, and Ojeda pretty tight on the heels of Chaz and Golding there in 9th and 10th position. Fords fill the top 5 positions. Chev, Ford, Toyota, Ford and Toyota. So we've just got the Lone Ranger in ADP at the top. And in our team's championships, Penrite Grove Racing have shot to the front by about 40 points. A smidge less over Triple Eight. Monster in the 3rd. Walkinshaw TWG in 4th. Team 18 have made their way to 5th before we fall away from there. Our next race meeting in a few weeks' time, we're heading to the NTI Townsville 500, and we look forward to previewing that in a few weeks' time. And our opening segment and the larger part of the pod brought to you, our listeners, by Biti Motors Culcairn. Alrighty, crew, time to let Matty take control of the pod and head on into the Cobrapparel Snakes and Ladders segment. So, for new listeners, Matty, Marshy and I picked our teams through a draft format earlier in the season. Matty keeps track of the points across the weekend and then lets us know how we're travelling with our teams. So, Matty, what do you got for us?
All right. So, actually quite an interesting weekend of points.
Oh, that's good.
And a couple of little, I suppose, oopsie-daisies for a couple of drivers that didn't manage to make that 3rd race. So that did not help a couple of us. And especially me with Chaz Mostert in that last race. Big donut there. Not much fun. So where did we end up? We have Bails on 1,222 points for the weekend. We have me on 1,338 points for the weekend. And we have Mr. Marsh bringing it home big and strong. 1,674. 300 points clear. Bloody absolutely nailed it.
Thank you, Cameron.
Anyone who's not watching the video on YouTube, you would have heard Marshy clapping himself just there.
He did. The picks are coming through.
Is that the biggest haul for the year?
Wow.
Massive. I can probably quickly do the data, but it's way
okay.
out in front of anything that I've seen. But now, the full competition points. This is where it gets even more interesting. I've experienced something that I haven't experienced for a little while.
You're falling off the perch.
Absolutely dead last. And weirdly, I'm on 6,666 points, which that feels a bit weird. But anyway, then we've got Bails on 6,748. And then we've got Mr. Marsh, who has come right into the front on 6,926 points.
Gone 300 in
So
front.
sitting 178 points clear of Bails. So
I was well off at the
massive
start.
round. You were
I was way
a
off.
long way off at the start.
That's all right.
But a couple of good rounds has really brought you back, and you've done extremely well. So it's far less tight than it was the other week. And you've really found some comfy pants there, Marshy. So well done. Enjoy it for the next couple of
trackies
weeks.
are doing well. The trackies are doing well.
are out.
The trackies are out there. Yeah.
Good time for your trackies. It's getting cold. Get them on. All right,
that's
so
good.
that's it. That's the tipping. Massive results
Huge.
from Marshy. So well done. If you're listening to this in your car or wherever you like to listen to it, give me a little clap. I'm sure he'll hear it no matter how far away you are.
Just listen out. It'll be great. Thank you, Matthew. That's good.
Yeah.
It's pumped the
done.
wheels up, considering
Well
both my
done.
football
Yeah.
teams are absolute rubbish at the moment. So I'll just jump on this bandwagon and make sure it's going well rather than any football team.
Nah, well done. Well done.
Thanks to Matty, and congratulations to Marshy, and a big thank you to our mates at Cobrapparel for supporting our Snakes and Ladders segment of the pod. Alrighty, Marshy, time to put you in behind the wheel to give us some international musings. What's been happening since we last chatted on the pod overseas?
Well, this is good because we've only had a week, so I haven't had to do too much homework. There's only been one race, which has been fantastic. So we've had the Road of America was raced on the weekend with the IndyCar. We had Will Power was the best of our bunch that are over there from the Kiwis and the Australians. So he charged home and finished third to claim another podium for Team Penske, which is fantastic. He's obviously chalking some up, which is good. Scotty Mack backed up his Fast 6 qualifying with a solid 7th. They do a qualifying weird over there in some way, shape or form. You qualify, then you go into a Fast 6. I think it's a bit like our top 10 shootout in some way. I've really got to look into that a bit more. Scotty Dixon just continued, keep clean racing and just, bank some points, which is good. But unfortunately, the young fella in Marcus Armstrong, he qualified third for the race, was a little bit ill and a bit sick, but then he ended up with some mechanical issues and he actually didn't finish, which was unfortunate. He looked really good for the young fella. He's coming up through the ranks, which is fantastic as well. But unfortunately for him, he couldn't make the end of the race. He was ill as well, so he had to... he was struggling a little bit there. Next stop, they are off to the Indy 200 in mid-Ohio. So they're in some tornado country up there, so we'll see how we go. Which is fantastic. Scotty Dixon is going to be the defending champ, so we'll see how he goes if he can back it up as well. Interesting, though, the IndyCar, the fella who actually won came from last. So he came from last to first, which is pretty cool. So, yeah. He ended up at the back. He didn't start at the back. The first lap, he actually ran off the road a little bit, ended right up at the back, and then he worked his way actually back to the front and actually won, which is pretty cool, which is awesome. I don't think that's happened for a long time, they said. So, yeah. Awesome. Then we move into NASCAR. Wow. The race at San Diego at the naval base. I'll tell you what, they absolutely... Their promos and things for this was... astronomical, like amazing. I reckon we covered it off in the pod this time last year when it was said that they were going to go there, and they had them going through hangars and things like that and basically trying to do the track but on the airfield. It looked awesome, the backdrop with the aircraft carriers, and it was, I think it was a really good spectacle and awesomely done by NASCAR, both their promo and the race and the track setup. Unfortunately, though, we didn't get the chocolates in SVG. He got the pole, and he wasn't even happy with his lap. He was like, oh, geez, did terribly there. The driver's crap. He's no good. Like, it's not the car, it's just me. But he still put it on pole, and everyone's always like, yep. He got second in the first stage. And then if you see the clip, I don't know if I'm going to be a conspiracy theorist and just go, someone handed someone some money and said, you just do not turn at this next corner, and he wiped Connor Zilic out, and he knocked out SVG at the exact same time. He didn't turn, he just literally went straight at that corner, and massive big pile up, and I think it was lap 32, and that was the end of SVG for that week. So, yeah. He goes to Simona this next week, though, which, again, he's pretty good at. And hopefully he bounces back then. And he's defending champion there. Oh, winner, sorry, shouldn't say champion, but the defending winner there as well. So hopefully SVG can get there. He's just got to stay at the front so no one can wipe him out.
That's right.
Oh, jeez. It's bad if you watch it. It does not turn. I reckon I saw Scotty Pye put up. He's just gone, what has he done? He has literally missed the apex right here, and he's just driven straight. You can't turn right. They're just used to turn left. So,
did you see the barrier that he went into?
just moved.
He blew the steel mounts out of the barrier, out of the back of the barrier.
It was almost like when you were playing like a race car game on your console or whatever, and you hated your brother getting in front, so you're just like, I'm just going to T-bone you.
Have damage mode off.
Just done, finished, catch you later, Destruction Derby style. But anyway, that's us for Around the Crowns for this week. Keep pushing, SVG. You'll be right, man.
Thanks, Marshy, for bringing us all the news from abroad. And that brings us to an end of another episode here on the Round Bar Supercars podcast, the podcast by the punters on the hill, for the punters on the hill. Big thanks to Biti Motors Culcairn, Cobrapparel, and Membrey's Auto Electrical. Listening in on Podbean, Spotify, or Apple Podcasts. You can find us by searching the Round Bar channel on Facebook, possibly even watching on YouTube. All the links are in the show notes. But for now, everybody, enjoy your racing. Cheerio.